Good morning, my dear students. Today again I came up with a little video of IVIBC, that is in vitro in vivo production, which is the part of an which is the part of a biology study, and the button of my keyboard is the test of So, as you know, I am a teacher. Actually, due to the interruption of the internet connections of the, I was unable to put this video earlier stages. So sorry for the inconvenience, but it is a little part and very interesting chapter of this IVIBC, and I hope we are coming to the last portion of our syllabus. And let's start. Before starting. Before starting the point of IVIBC correlation, I must say what is this requirement of this IVIBC. Before that, also you have to know what is IP. IP, that is in vitro. In vitro is nothing but whenever you are conducting some kind of experiments outside the living organisms. That is the mimic of the desired physiological system that is much more similar to living organism, but it is not doing inside a living organism. Whenever we are conducting a mimic and desired environment of an experiment outside of the living organism, that is called in vitro study. And in vivo study is nothing but when we are conducting an experiment inside of the living organism. So drug development and optimization process are very tedious process. Yes, time taking and also sometimes so expensive. Yes, because it is expensive, we need to establish some kind of clinical studies, and these clinical studies are much more expensive, as well as technical studies also require some kind of cost, because you have to go through by some kind of rodents, different kind of species, when we are going to develop some kind of drug and its release pattern. Because ultimate the objective is how much drug is actually reaching into the systemic circulation, the dosage form that we have prepared. From that dosage form, the drug has to release and reach to the systemic circulation for its therapeutic activity, or to achieve a desired onset of action. So according to that, time to time, the optimization of the dosage form is required, because the conventional dosage form is prepared and the IVIBC has been correlated so that the bioavailability can be established. Bioavailability is nothing but that which can actually helps to eliminate some kind of in vivo study, because in vivo studies are much more tedious, much more time taking, much more expensive, and all time due to the few changes of the development of the formulation composition with respect to excipients, or with the changes of the release pattern, prolonging, extended release, pulse time release, pulsatile release, or you can say sustained release. So this kind of changes are done by different kind of researchers for different kind of desired purpose, for different kind of objective. So for these minor changes, each time it is very much tedious to conduct each time for each different changes for each in vivo study. It is very much expensive. So whenever the drug will come into the market, it is very much difficult for all persons to buy that one. So to minimize those things, to minimize the time, to minimize the cost, to minimize the tedious process, this IVIBC correlation is needed. So here it is: optimization of formulation, little alteration of formulation, composition, equipment, batch sizes, manufacturing process, so many things. So as a result of this alteration, the market cost of new formulation increases. Obviously, it will increase. So these problems can be resolved by developing in vitro tests that reflect bioavailability data. IVIBC is the technique which can be used to develop new pharmaceuticals, so that the number of human studies during the development of formulation can be reduced, and this is nothing but the bioavailability. The reduction of the human study. Nothing but you can say the reduction of the clinical study. So IVIBC acts as a surrogate. That means what should I say? Surrogate thing is similarity. IVIBC acts as a similarity of in vivo bioavailability and supports biomarkers. Okay. So two definitions are there according to FDA and according to USP. So USP defined that IVIBC as the establishment of a rational relationship between the biological property or a parameter derived from the biological property produced by a dosage form and the physiological property or characteristic of the same dosage form. and according to FDA, a predictive mathematical model. Yes, IBIBC is nothing but a mathematical model. What mathematical model? What mathematics is going on over there? The different determination of the pharmacokinetic parameter is nothing but a mathematical model. The Granulson method, ABC determination, all these things you have studied in compartment modeling study. So these kind of determinations actually require whenever you are going to establish this kind of IBIBC relationship. Okay. So this is a predictive mathematical model describing the relationship between an in vitro property of the dosage forms and in vitro response. Yes. What is the in vitro outcome and what can be the predictive response in vivo case? That is defined by this correlation process. So the in vitro studies are performed to analyze the rate or extent of drug distribution. Yes, we are using dissolution apparatus, 7 kind of dissolution apparatus as I told you according to the dosage forms. So which dosage forms you are taking for your in vitro dissolution study, according to that kind of USP dissolution type you have to choose. And what we are actually analyzing, we are analyzing the release of the drug, the cumulative percentage drug release or the mean drug release, different kind of parameters are there. So plotting the time versus to percentage drug release, or the log dosage versus percentage drug release, or the mean dissolution time versus mean residence time in case of in vivo and vivo, the levels are there. We will come to the next one. So the in vitro studies are performed to analyze the rate or extent of drug dissolution or release, when the in vivo study helps simulate the plasma drug concentration profile. So whenever we are going to collect some data in case of in vivo, what do we collect? We need to collect some kind of parameter that is related to plasma, because we need to withdraw or blood, and from that blood we will collect the plasma after centrifugation. And from within that plasma we will try to determine how much amount of drug is present with respect to time. That means that much amount of drug is able to absorb from its absorption site after releasing the drug from the dosage form. So these are the steps in case of in vivo. But in case of in vitro, we are directly collecting the medium in which we are introducing our dosage forms, and we are trying to find out the presence of the fraction of the drug by spectrophotometry, by doing some kind of mathematical process. So this kind of two things we need to be prepared, and after that, same with related to time, with the fraction or with the interval of same time period. What has been drug has been dissolved in vitro cases, and what has been drug, what amount of drug has been arrived into the plasma. These two things have been correlated and it will be predicted. So IBIBC performed to obtain drug dissolution results from 2 or more products, so that the similarity or dissimilarity of an expected plasma drug concentration can be done. So only one formulation cannot be, the two to three types of formulation has to be taken, 2 or more actually has to be dissolution results has to be taken, so that the similarity will be much more precise. So it is important to know how to establish similarity or dissimilarity of in vivo responses, that is plasma drug concentration difference, before deducing a relationship between the results obtained from in vivo and in vitro studies. The method used to establish similarity and dissimilarity of plasma drug concentration profile is called bioequivalence test. So what is bioequivalence? Equivalence is nothing but whenever we are predicting the similarity and dissimilarity of plasma drug concentration profiles of a 2 or more than 2 dosage forms. So purpose of IBIBC. What is the purpose? Purpose is nothing but to reduce the regulatory burden. What is this? Burden, that means that under sometimes specific circumstances, like IBIBC serves as a substitute for additional in vivo experiments. Yes, for additional in vivo experiments it is actually substitute. So that regulatory burden, yes, IBIBC is much more helpful for regulatory aspects, because whenever you are going to develop a drug, there is a filing process of details about the preclinical to clinical aspects, everything. So this IBIBC actually helps to reduce the to reduce the clinical studies. So according to the regulatory guidelines, if you follow the IBIBC regulations, so that you can reduce the regulatory burden also. So in optimization of formulation means the optimization of formulation includes alteration in composition, manufacturing process, equipment, and batch to batch size required an exhaustive study of bioequivalent bioavailability to prove the validity of a new formulation that is bioequivalent with the target formulation. So that has to be done, but so by this IBIBC, optimization of the formulation is easy because all time there is no more required for going the process of in vivo studies to correlate the bioequivalence of both the products as compared to the time. So to justify the product's therapeutic quality, that is IBIBC technique is used to prove the therapeutic efficacy of the formulation, how much it is effective therapeutically. And the scale up of most approval changes, that is SUPEC, that is as approval tool for bioequivalence, that is use dissolution test as a surrogate for pharmacoequivalent, and during the filing of level 3 variations either during scale up or post approval and in case of different strength. Use as a surrogate, as I told you earlier also, the main aim of an IBIBC process is to utilize in vitro dissolution profile as a surrogate for in vivo bioequivalence studies without doing this in vivo bioequivalence studies. Surrogate, that is similarity. Only by doing in vitro dissolution profile, by plotting some kind of data with respect to the standard dissolution profile of the in vivo, you can make a bioweaver which will helpful for the respective developed drug formulation without conducting any kind of in vivo studies. The in vitro results only conclude you what will be the predictable nature of the drug whenever it will administered inside a physiological system. That is the purpose. Hope so you are getting. Levels of IBIBC. So yes, there is different kind of levels are there. Which levels are much more correlating, which levels are less correlating, and depending upon the levels, your predictions also depends. So as per the FDA guidelines, actually there are 4 levels of IBIBC, that is A, B, C and D. Intermediately there is another level, that is multiple level C. Inside the level C it will come into the next one. So which include levels, the correlation level concept is based on the ability of the correlation to reflect the entire plasma drug time profile. Correlate, okay, which is the result of administration of drug doses for plasma time profile. Whenever we will get the plasma drug after administering the drug inside the physiological system. So what is level A correlation? See, the level A correlation of IBIBC actually is a regulatory relevance. And very much highly correlated it is. It is much more acceptable level. So in this level correlates the entire in vitro and in vivo. It helps to correlate actually, and because it is a linear point to point correlation. Each point is correlated, each point of the in vitro is correlated with each point of the in vivo. So every points are coming into the point. Every points are coming into the flashlight. Nothing is going to be excluded. So obviously it will be highly correlated. So it is the highest category of correlation and represents a point-to-point relationship between in vitro dissolution rate and in vivo input rate of the drug dosage form. Actually, what is happening? It is important to achieve level A correlation because it allows bioequivalence. Yes, it allows bioequivalence for changes in manufacturing site, raw material suppliers, and minor changes in formulation. Level A correlation defines a direct relationship between in vivo data such as the measurement of in vitro dissolution rate is required to determine the biopharmaceutical rate of the dose. Level B correlation. The level B correlation of IBIBC actually relies on the principles of statistical moment analysis. Which statistical moment? This level includes the comparison of in vitro dissolution time. As I told you, mean dissolution time, MDT, in vitro of the product to either in vivo residence time or in vivo dissolution time. That means whenever you are going to plot a graph in case of level B correlation, you have to determine the mean dissolution in vitro time versus mean in vivo residence time. So it is not that much useful for regulatory purpose, but does not reflect the actual in vivo plasma level curves, and also in vitro data from such correlation cannot be used to justify the extremes of quality control standards. But the level is there, the level is exist. So then this is not useful for a regulatory purpose, this level B correlation. But you can correlate. Level C correlation. Level C correlation relates on dissolution time point. That means any time point of the 50% drug release of the time, 90% of the drug release of the time, that is T90, etc. Of that parameter, the values versus one mean pharmacokinetic parameter of the standard or the in vitro, in vivo. So it is the weakest, that is, it is the 1 point correlation level. Wherever C, level A is a point-to-point correlation. Level B is a mean residence time and mean dissolution time correlation. And level C, it is a 1 point correlation. So level C is much more than weakest level of correlation. And what to say, it is the weakest, yes, and because it is a partial relationship between absorption and dissolution established, because it does not represent the complete shape of the plasmatic concentration time curve. So the critical factor that defines the performance of the drug is not happening over there. So therefore the usefulness of level C correlation is restricted during the prediction of in vivo drug performance. So now, but in case of you can say in the initial phase of formulation development, where it is actually required, initial stage you can apply this level C correlation, because pilot formulations are being selected while waiver of an in vivo bioequivalence study is generally not possible. So from that level C you can actually predict how much, in case of level A you are going to introduce in a pilot study, how much it will going to be correlated. Okay, you can define the nature of the correlation previously. Now, there is another is multiple level C relationship, that is correlation, because multiple level represents the relationship between one or more desirable pharmacological parameters like Cmax, AUC, etc., and concentration of drug dissolved at different time points of dissolution profile. Okay. So, if the correlation has been established over the entire dissolution profile with one or more pharmacological parameters of interest, the multiple level C correlation can be used to justify bioequivalence. Okay. So it is important that a multiple level C correlation should be based on minimum 3 dissolution time points. Try to remember, my dear students, minimum 3 dissolution time points which has to be included in your correlation study. That is early, middle, or you can say the last stages of the dissolution point, because it has been written over here in the earlier paragraph that you can see that entire dissolution profile, okay. So early, middle, and last stages or late stages. Okay. So also the development of a level A correlation occurs when multiple level C correlation is achieved at each time point at the same parameter, so that the effect of in vivo performance of any changes in dissolution. Next level is level D, which is also present, but it is very much negligible. The level D correlation is semi-quantitative or qualitative analysis and rank order correlation. It is not a formal correlation actually, and is not useful for regulatory purposes. No way it is useful, but it is there. It is a rank wise correlation, but it is not formal and not useful. Wherever can be used during the development of process of formulation. So level C used during when pilot formulations are being selected, level C can be applicable, and level D during early stages of the drug development, the level D. Actually these levels are applied before going to apply the higher level correlations. These levels, by applying these lowest levels, you can actually predict what will be the outcome whenever you are going to. Actually, there is a possibility is there to correlate the existing IVIVC or is there any possibility to have a better results whenever we are going to apply the higher levels? These lower levels can actually give you the prediction. So the next is the application. Yes, why we are doing this? There must be some reasons. In drug delivery system, actually modified dosage forms are prepared, obviously, like control or prolonging the release of the drug compared to conventional dosage form. And the objective of the dosage form to achieve zero order long-term pulsatile or on-demand delivery. So to achieve these things, IBABC correlation. Now, in early stage of drug delivery technology development, during drug development, the most important stage is drug candidate selection. Since IBIBC explores the relationship between in vitro and in vivo properties, and IBIBC study of the drug in animal model during drug candidate selection represents the feasibility of drug delivery system for given drug candidates. And whenever once this IBIBC correlation has been done, that means in early stage, we actually predicting how much will be the nature of the drug delivery technology developed to get a desired action, a desired time profile, a desired viability. Since IBIBC explores the relationship between in vitro and in vivo properties, so IBIBC studies of the drug in animal models during drug candidate selection represent the feasibility. So what is actually it's doing? It's, at this stage, the better design development efforts are expected in the future, even though the formulations and methods used are not up to the mark. So third point is that is in formulation assessment. Formulation assessment in vitro dissolution. In product development, a suitable dissolution method that can distinguish the performance of formulation with different release rates in vitro and in vivo is an important tool. So on the basis of the nature of correlation, the dissolution method can be changed. If the discriminatory in vitro method is validated, further development in formulation relies on in vitro dissolution. Okay. Now, dissolution specification. See, IBIBC plays an important role in setting specification like modified release dosage forms require dissolution testing over multiple times. Specification time points are generally selected in the early, middle and late stages of dissolution profiles, as I told you earlier. So the range of dissolution specification in every rare case exceeds near about 10% of the dissolution of the pivotal clinical batch if IBIB correlations are not present. But in the presence of IBIBC, a range of specifications are applicable based on the prediction of concentration time profiles of test packages bioequivalent to the reference batch. The dissolution specification can be established in the presence of an IBIBC that starts after obtaining the reference dissolution profile. So dissolution of batches with different dissolution properties are used along with the IBIBC model, and the concentration time profile should be deduced using a suitable convolution method. The specification should be established in such a way that all batches with dissolution profiles between the fastest and slowest batches are bioequivalent and less optimally bioequivalent to the reference batch. Then future bioequivalent. There is during drug development, various changes are made in the formulation due to various reasons. For example, unexpected problems, stability, development of desired release, availability of raw materials, better processing results, etc. If an established IBIBC is present, bioequivalence study can be avoided. Yes, that means in vivo and in vitro, again correlation is not required. Bioequivalence study can be avoided by using the dissolution profile only and from the changed formulation and predicting the in vivo correlation time. We are predicting without conducting, and that is the actual mode of IBIBC. We are predicting the release pattern of the drug from the dosage form which has been introduced in which will be introduced in this living organism without conducting the release pattern of the living organism on the basis of the dissolution profile which has been conducted in in vitro system. That is the actual total scenario of the IBIBC formulation, which is actually required for the drug development purpose. Okay, so IBIBC in parenteral drug delivery, what is happening? IVIVC is also predictable in parenteral drug delivery or doses form, either injected or implanted, but the success is very low through IVIVC. In case of parenteral, success is not that much because due to different kind of multiple reasons are there. You just try to remember that IVIVC process in case of parenteral drug delivery is not that much of success to correlate or to applicable, because in case of injecting, directly the drug is injecting into the system circulation, and there is a presence of 100% biology. So onset of action, distribution of the drug, volume of distribution, different kind of things are not so much equal with in case of that we are dissolving the drug in a medium. In that case we are not actually directly injecting in case of in vitro study into the plasma. Here we are actually predicting how much is the solubility of the drug, and after that the absorption part will be important. So this kind of correlation is little bit different in case of parenteral administration. Mapping is its specific boundaries in vitro dissolution provides according to the acceptability diagram specifies. Different kind of boundaries is there also in case of in vitro dissolution, yes, because it is a mimic, it is not an actual physiological model. So by mapping these things, so we can easily identify the limitations in case of in vitro dissolution profiles, and that IVIVC actually that IVIVC mapping replicate to overcome different kind of boundaries, so that we can predict much more closer results with in vivo studies. Now, what are the limitations? Limitations, if you can say that in IVIVC, more than one dosage form is essential, and sometimes intravenous or solution become compulsory to calculate deconvolution. In IVIVC, the absorption should be linear, otherwise simulation cannot be complete. This point should be analyzed before establishing IVIVC. Linearity should be there. Why? Because you can see if the pharmacological process depends on the fraction of dose reaching the systemic circulation or on the rate of absorption, the formulation and simulation is very difficult to compare. Such non-linearity is due to when there is a saturability of the absorption process, absorption site, or active absorption process, or sometimes or induction or inhibition of metabolism, rate absorption dependent first pass effect, etc. So these points should be analyzed. These points should be analyzed before IVIVC, because if these things are actually overlapping with the IVIVC, then the prediction is much more difficult, and that is the limitation. Third point is the limiting factor for IVIVC should not be absorption. Absorption should not be the limiting factor, because it is convenient to attempt the IVIVC if solubility is not the limiting factor in comparison to drug release. So drug release should depend on the formulation and should be slower than dissolution of formulation. Then the IVIVC prediction can be suitable. So these are the IVIVC related topic, and please go through the book also, so you can get idea much more about it. Thank you.